Hoi hoi, I'm Enyol, and we're gonna be talking about a lot of books, namely the books that I got in 2025. I got about 14 books, something I hadn't done in a long ass time, but I'll tell you what, it was fun to be able to start just buying a bunch of books again. More so back when I was doing this a lot, just I want to do it a lot more now. So let's get right into it. They're not gonna be in any particular order, it's just I put them on a pile and I'm just gonna be talking about them. It's not really a review or anything like that. I just want to share with you guys what passions me a lot. So first of all, I got basic role-playing. I got this game because it's a universal role-playing system. Now this one is very crunchy. What's funny is that this book is thick as fuck, but it's very light because the paper it uses is very light paper. I like it. I'm not a fan of crunchy systems, but I wanted to give this one a chance because since I'm actually designing my own universal system, except my universal system is narrative based, this one is more crunchy, but it can be used for a lot of different settings and a lot of different game styles, so I wanted to read up on it, maybe to inspire me a little bit to see how to organize my own book once I start writing it. But I'm actually very excited. This is from all the books that I got last year, this is one of the ones that I've read the least. I'd say second to last that I've read because it's very, very wordy, but I do enjoy it. I know that if I had found this book like 10 years ago, I would have creamed myself because about 10 years ago, yeah, or 15 years ago, I was really into crunchy games. And this one being a universal crunchy game, I would have probably been all over this one. So, besides that, all the books that I'm going to show you today, I haven't read all of them throughout. I have read them somewhat. I've read some of them completely. I've read some of them up to half. I've read some of them a little bit, but I have read some of all of them. There's not a book here that I haven't touched, including the Final Fantasy XIV TTRPG. Let me tell you something. This book, if you want to feel like you're playing Final Fantasy XIV in a tabletop setting, this is the book for you, because this book emulates the feeling of playing Final Fantasy XIV really well, specifically in combat. What it doesn't do well, it's exploration and roleplay. It doesn't really have many rules or abilities for any of that. And what's interesting is this book is really good for one-shots, mostly pick up and play adventures. If you're gonna have like an event, you can do it for long-term play. Of course, any game you can do it into long-term play, including Dread, if you really want to ad hoc a lot of it. You totally can. But this book, I feel it's better for events because how adventures are handled here, they're very like instances or raids from an MMORPG. So much so that you don't actually have actual levels. You have level 30, 40, 50, 55, and 60. And they're not really levels, they're more akin to tiers of play, so to speak. So you choose what tier of play you want, players make their characters, and then they go off and do their thing, and usually just go fight a bunch of monsters. But roleplay, not that much. I checked the review on this book before buying it, and yeah, the review was right. This game, you know, combat-wise, great, but anything else, especially someone like me, who loves to roleplay and loves to make silly voices and have my players interact with the NPCs, this book, not so much. Moving on, something that I actually got this year, Dungeons & Dragons 2024, or 5.5 as I call it, because that's basically what it is. This is 5.5, the same way that we have 3.5 and 2.5, you know, AD&D. This is 5.5, that's basically what this is. So I got this book not because I wanted, but because I actually started playing D&D campaign as a player. I haven't been an actual player in a long time, but last year I actually was able to get into a couple of campaigns, and I'm very excited for that. But I got this book so I could help my fellow players on the table, so we could have like a reference book, because nobody really had the book when we started. Now a couple of us actually do have the book, so we like spread the love, so to speak. I'm not a fan of this game. To me, D&D is like Greek yogurt, but less healthy than Greek yogurt. This game to me is just very bland. I feel like there's not much you can do in this game, and I don't really enjoy that. And I'm playing an Eldritch Knight, so I do have spells, but I don't know. It's like I've never liked Vancian spellcasting. I think Vancian spellcasting is stupid, and D&D really needs to get rid of Vancian spellcasting. Just not my cup of tea, but I am enjoying the game because I'm playing with some really cool people. The game master goes far and above. You know, he paints his own minis, he builds his own minis, and it's pretty cool. So it's a bit of a spectacle. So I'm sticking through. Hopefully, next campaign we can play a different system, because, like, again, this it's just there. But most famous TTRPG system in the world, but it's because Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast have a lot of money that they can spread, just buying a lot of ad space and shit like that. So of course they're gonna be the most recognizable one, because they're the ones spending the most money to make it the most recognizable one. On the other side of D&D, something that a lot of people were expecting to catch D&D by surprise, but didn't do it. Daggerheart. Now, I did a 2-hour video reviewing this book that I divided into spaces, into different chapters, so if you can go and watch that if you want to lose 2 hours of your life. It's very in-depth, and I do talk about my experiences running a one-shot with it. At this point, I've read this book like 5 times. I enjoy it pretty much. I do like the cards, but not the fact that it uses cards. I do like that it includes the cards, and I'm happy that the newer products are also going to include cards. I think that's cool. This system has a lot of issues. Granted, gun to my head, you will ask me to choose between these 2 books. I'm playing Daggerheart, and I'm GMing Daggerheart for the rest of my life. If I had to choose. Thankfully I don't, but if I had to choose Daggerheart. Daggerheart, it's way more fun. It's way looser with the things that you can do, and that I do appreciate. I played a one-shot where I was a wizard that used Mage Hand to attack with my sword. He was a melee wizard and was pretty cool. He had a lot of HP. He was tanky as fuck, and he was a wizard. So I have a lot of abilities that I can use outside combat, and I like using things outside combat, because combat, hey, if it's just combat, I'll make something that can kill everything and be unkillable. Systems are designed that you can like find ways to make unkillable shit. That's just a given. But having an ability to do like transform into other people, lock doors behind you magically, that shit, you know, it's fun. Especially when you're not relying on spell slots. But this book, it has its issues. This system has its issues. I still hate how initiative is handled, because there's no initiative. Just like whoever decides to go just goes. And personally, I'm not a fan of that. But that's how they designed it, and I have a lot of issues also with a lot of balancing. A couple of abilities are way better than others, and you start realizing and thinking to yourself, why would I pick this? Why would I just pick this? The ranger has to spend 3 hope to attack 3 people, while the wizard can just spend 1 hope to have someone attack 2 people. You know, and the ranger one is like their big class ability, and the wizard, you can just pick that if they want. And the bard can also pick that spell. So to me, it felt like they had a lot of designers, and they designed their own stuff, and then they piled it together. That's what it felt like to me when I was reading this book, and the more I play it, the more I realize it. Still, I do enjoy it. I have a game master that's running a campaign, and she is an amazing game master, one of the best game masters I've ever had in my life, and I've been doing this for 20 fucking years, alright? And she has her shit pat down. So, I know she doesn't like people to have high expectations, but I have a lot of high expectations for her game. So, yeah, I do enjoy how varied you can make your characters. I also made a rogue once that was wielding or wearing heavy plate armor. And he just vanished into shadows, and I think that's pretty badass. Also, I got RuneQuest. I played a one-shot of RuneQuest last year, and the Game Master was really cool. The system is pretty fucking amazing. The rune system on this book, let me tell you, this shit is fucking amazing. The liberty you have with the runes and the shit you can do with the runes is just limited to the description of the rune and what the rune is. Or maybe the Game Master let us play it like that, but like at least from what I played, that was fun as fuck. Plus the character building system, you can design your ancestors and that can give you bonuses or penalties to your character as you're creating them. And the character creation system is really fun because of that. What I don't like is the combat. I don't know, you can ad hoc a lot of that away, you can modify it, but as it is, personally, I don't like games that are like, oh, we're very deadly. Anybody can die in one hit. I don't care about that because ultimately the Game Master can kill anybody whenever he wants because he's the one controlling the game. I don't care if a game is very deadly. That to me is ephemeris. That's lame. That's stupid. That's dumb. The combat system, you have to roll to hit, then you have to roll to hit. You have to roll to see where you hit, and if you hit somebody's head, you just kill them outright, usually. And it's not my cup of tea. The rune system for roleplay specifically and exploration, really fucking fun. Combat, I leave it. Then we have Avatar, Legends. Avatar Legends, the role-playing game. I've never been a big fan of Avatar. I actually prefer Korra over Aang. Say what you will, I love Korra. She's a fucking badass. Aang is a pussy. Korra's a fucking badass. And I know a lot of people don't like what she did with the spirit world. I think it was well deserved. I think it was pretty cool what she did, so you know what? Oh no, but there's no more Avatar lineage. I don't give a fuck. Roku, they don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about those assholes. I give a fuck about, the main characters. She's pretty cool. Anyways, this is a Powered by the Apocalypse system. And Powered by the Apocalypse is a system that I've been trying to get into because I just can't wrap my head around it that well. And I've tried and tried and tried. I've read a lot about Powered by the Apocalypse, but it's just, I'm an idiot. And I just don't understand it. But I'm dying to play a Powered by the Apocalypse game because they seem like they're really, really fun. This game, however, it has its issues. I don't like that you have to talk to your game master because anybody can be a vendor. Everybody in the table can be a vendor if they want. However, if you want to do something like lightning bending or blood bending or metal bending, you have to go to a special trainer in-game, obviously. You have to roleplay it. Then you have to roll to see if you actually learn it. If you fail the check, then you don't learn it, and then you have to do another quest to see if you can learn it. And personally, I don't like that. I don't like tying character abilities behind a roll to see whether or not they learn it. To me, that's lame. Especially if it's just like a narrative power. Because that's what they are. This is a very narrative-heavy game because it's Powered by the Apocalypse. So if you end up becoming a bloodbender, it's just basically for roleplay. Not for combat, because these games don't have combat that much. It's just for roleplay. And I don't enjoy that. Like, what I would do is, if you fail, you still learn it, but then you have difficulties to understand it and use it properly. This game handles combat horribly. I read the combat chapter, it was just a mess. Being Powered by the Apocalypse, there's a lot you can do with combat for this, but this one, no. So, I think they dropped the ball when designing combat. Other than that, the art on this book is fucking bullshit. It's just stills from the fucking cartoon. They have a couple of original pieces, but most of it is just stills from a cartoon, and that's why. Then the NPCs, they stat them out like players, so you can fight them if you want. And personally, I believe that players and NPCs should have completely different mechanics, because the game master is playing a completely different game than the players are. Obviously, because he's the one running the game, but you know, it is what it is. I know a couple of people like this. The reason I got this one is because a player of mine told me that the balance system that they have in this game is really cool, and it actually is. You have some words that they represent like your character's morality or something like that, and you can go plus or minus in your balance, and that can actually give you bonuses or penalties to your roll. And that was a pretty cool system. Something that he wanted me to do was to adapt it to the game that I'm designing, Paradigm Odyssey. And I said, you know what, I do like it, but maybe not for the campaign we're playing. Maybe for a campaign down the line, because in my game I have campaign-specific mechanics, and the one that we're doing for the game that we're currently running is Insanity. So something like balance, maybe we can do it later on. But I did enjoy the balance mechanic a lot. Then the last book I got last year, I still have books to discuss, but the last book because again, these are not in order. The last book I got last year was actually Fabula Ultima. It's a TTRPG. TTJRPG. Tabletop Japanese role-playing game. The reason I got this one is I was in an event promoting my tabletop RPG, Paradigm Odyssey, and one of the players was telling me, there's this game called Fabula Ultima. It's basically a JRPG, tabletop role-playing game. And I'm like, that sounds cool. I do like JRPGs, but usually JRPGs that are turned into TTRPGs tend to be very crunchy. And he told me, no, actually that one is very narrative-based. And I'm like, oh. And they told me, and that's where they sold it to me, when you create a race, you talk to your game master to see what abilities your race has. And I think that's a pretty novel idea, and I think that's pretty cool. That's not what this has. This has like a little paragraph that says, your race has no bearing in your abilities or the things that you can do unless you want them to. Which, you know, fair, but I was told that this was something else, and it wasn't. With that said, this book is actually pretty fucking fun. It has some really cool exploration rules that are pretty fucking nifty. It really emulates the whole getting a random encounter in the wild or in the overworld, and I think that's pretty fucking cool, the way that they handle that. Besides that, the level cap is like 50 because you can have like a lot of different classes and you can level them up differently, and I think that's also pretty cool and pretty innovative. Now, when I was reading this book, it said that it took a lot of inspiration of Ryutama, so I might end up buying Ryutama in 2026 just to see what the hubbub is about, because I've heard that Ryutama is actually pretty fucking cool. Also, the art in this book, fucking amazing. Then on the other side of the Powered by the Apocalypse, since I already mentioned it with the Avatar game, we have Roots. This game is pretty fucking cool. This one handles the Powered by the Apocalypse system really fucking well. The art is amazing. It's very pick up and play, and I love it. The way that they handle factions, and you can get bonuses if you're in good standing with the factions, that's pretty fucking nifty and pretty fucking cool. Combat is a bit weird here as well, but again, I'm guessing all Powered by the Apocalypse games are like that because that's the examples I have. But I'm actually excited for this because I have a friend who wants to start being a game master, and they said that they might do Roots first, and I'm like, yeah, I'd like that. I like to play that. What I find interesting is that this game was actually based on a board game. It was based on a board game, and they turned it into a Powered by the Apocalypse system, and I've heard nothing but good things, and from what I've read, it's nothing but good. But I'm excited to keep reading and finish reading it completely. I'm almost done with this one. It's been really good. Then a game that I have been suggested for a while now was Savage Worlds. I have a lot of friends that they swear by this book. They swear by this system. This is like the best thing, like the second coming of fucking Christ. That's how good this game is. So the issue is, I had a really bad experience with a game master with Savage Worlds, and it soured me to this system for like 10 plus years. It soured me to the system, but a friend of mine told me, hey, just give it a chance again. I know that the other game master was a fucking asshole, he was a prick, he wasn't good at what he did, but like the game is really fun. And I'm glad I did, because this is a really fucking fun book. This system is also universal. You can do a lot of things with this system. You can do urban fantasy, you can do straight urban, you can do high fantasy, low fantasy, you can even do superheroes with this system. And that's pretty good. And yeah, the Benny system is as good as people say it is. It's very... man, it's very playable in a very fun way. Which is something that a lot of systems that have meta currencies don't know how to balance. I'm looking at you, Daggerheart. But the Benny system is really good. If you haven't given Savage Worlds a shot, I totally go for it, because this system is really fucking nifty. Then we have here Dragonbane. Dragonbane is a system that surprised the fuck out of me. I actually read a little bit about it, and then I ran a one-shot, and this game is deadly as fuck because it's an OSR. And a lot of OSRs tend to be very, very deadly in their design. But this one, even though it's very deadly, it was very fun. I don't like the leveling up system, but that's just me. You can ad hoc it, you can do things like, you know, give players XP and they can expend XP to level up their shit. That's how I personally would do it. And this book is thin as fuck. This is not a big book. This is not a big system, but it's really robust. Really robust, because it has some of the best exploration rules I have ever seen in my life. Ugh, so fucking good. And then there's a lot of things that you can do with your characters, pushing rolls, re-rolling for a penalty and things like that. This game, even though it's that thin, it offers so many options, especially for a game master. Oh, so good. And then the way it handles monsters. I want to give you guys an example, because the way it handles monsters is probably my favorite way monsters are handled that I've ever seen. This is a monster stat block. You're not going to be able to see it properly, but monsters have tables, and when a game master attacks, they just roll a d6, for example, and then whatever dice rolled is the attack that the enemy uses. So the game master is not really thinking about what attack are they going to use, how they're going to use it, because they're monsters. They're just attacking because they want to attack, whatever. So the game master just rolls, and that's the attack the monster does. It's pretty innovative, keeps combat very interesting, because players don't know what the fuck is going to happen, what the fuck the monster is going to do, and I love that. So much so that I actually adapted this style of monsters for my own TTRPG, Paradigm Odyssey, and after I did that, holy shit, combat has been so much fun. Combat to me was okay before that, but after that, after I applied the combat table, oh my god. This ended up being my best, not my best, but my favorite system that I bought last year, because I just was able to learn so much from game design. And I was able to learn so many different ways you can do so many different things in a system. And I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Dragonbane now, and again, it's just very small, but it really packs a punch. Now, something that is not a system, but it's obviously TTRPG related, Tal'Dorei Reborn, the Tal'Dorei campaign book. The reason I got this one is because I am planning on running one-shots set in this world using my Paradigm Odyssey system, because I want to get my system out there, and I know there's a lot of creators around that they would love to play in this setting. So, like, I'll let them play in the setting, but with my system, and just play around with it, and just maybe get a couple of fans my way, you know what I'm saying? Now, this book is really cool. It's thick, and over half of it is just fluff, and I love that, because as a setting book, to me, that's how it should be. it should be mostly fluff. It should be a lot of world building. It has mechanics, yes, but obviously the mechanics has its own lore. And it has a lot of monsters, but each monster has its own lore and even plot points on how to, plot hooks on how to use them in your adventures. And I think that's pretty good. I think that Darrington Press did something really good with this book. Because it's just so chock full of world building. You could like play in this setting forever and never run out of things to do because it just has so much in it. So I'm very excited to keep reading this book and eventually run my one-shots here. Then we have Shadow of the Demon Lord. This is a book that I actually saw 10 years ago that I really, really like the idea of, and I'm so happy that I finally found it again. Because for my books, I try to buy locally because I like to help out my local game store. I believe that from all the books that I have here, the only ones that I bought online this year was Roots. No, not Roots. Fabula Ultima and Savage Worlds. Those are the only books that I bought online. Everything else that you've seen today, I have found in different local stores. Because I believe that we should, always pay our local stores because we want local stores. But I found this in a local store and I actually had them send it to a closer store. It's from the same chain. So I could buy it. And my God, I'm so happy that I got this because this book, it's its own system. But it's also its own setting. And it's a setting where basically Sauron won. The fourth age is basically Satan won and everybody has to survive. But it teaches you about how to build worlds that are devoid of hope or just very little hope because the bad guy won. And it's a really cool setting because of that. It's you play heroes, you're still playing heroes, but you're not saving the world because the world went to shit. You're not killing Satan. If nobody kills Satan before you, you're not killing Satan, so you're not saving the world. But you are saving the local townsfolk, the local countryside, maybe part of the resistance group, and things like that. And I like how it keeps that, and it's still fantasy. It has some really cool horror mechanics, corruption mechanics, and there's a lot that you can get from this book that if you want, you can just pour into other games or into other campaigns, and it's pretty good. I'm very happy that I was able to re-find this game and finally buy it because this game, at least from the back, it says 2015, and I remember seeing it about 10 years ago and saying this looks interesting. It looks like something I'd be interested in and that I might enjoy, and I did. So I'm very happy for that. Now, what is probably the worst book that I bought last year, Arkham Horror, for a couple of reasons. It's very badly organized. It's very wordy. It tries to say a lot while explaining very little. And I think it should be the other way around. It should use little words to explain a lot, but this uses a lot of words to explain very little. I did not enjoy reading this. Reading this book was not fun. And if your book is not fun to read, then probably it's not fun to play or run. So even though I read this book, and I didn't read it completely, I read most of it. Even though I read most of this book, I don't think I'm ever going to play this game. Because the way, a lot of the ways this plays, it plays a lot like the tabletop board game. But they try to take the board game mechanics and translate them into a TTRPG, and I don't think that always works. Now, you see something like Roots, which was based on a board game, but they just used Powered by the Apocalypse and turned it into that, and I think that's pretty fine. But this is bullshit. So you tell me, at least from what I understand, from when I read the mechanics, because I did read the mechanics, from what I understood, so I might be stupid, but from what I understood, you have a certain number of actions you can do in a scene, and once you run out of actions, can't do anything else. So if the investigators go into the room, and they run out of actions, they have to get the fuck out, and not do anything else. Because you run out of actions. No explanation. You just, I don't find anything. I'm gonna go away. And I'm just oversimplifying it. I think the book tells the game master that they should give them a reason to leave or something like that. But it's just, again, I did not enjoy reading this, like, at all. And if I didn't enjoy reading, I was actually planning a one-shot for this. But if I'm not enjoying reading your book, I'm probably not going to enjoy running it. Now, something very similar that actually surprised me was the last book we're going to discuss, Candela Obscura. Candela Obscura. This thing, it's not French. Not to be confused with Expedition 33, obviously. So Candela Obscura is by Darrington Press, the same people that did Daggerheart. And this one came with some contention, because I've heard people that have had problems with this game. And I'm here to tell you, this game is not as bad as people make it out to be. It's basically a very watered down version of Powered by the Apocalypse, if you can believe that. And that's about it. You know, it has its own setting, it has its own flavor and flair, but it's basically Powered by the Apocalypse light. And that's it. Some people were complaining because, they didn't have rules for PvP in the live play. Brother, what fucking system has rules for PvP? PvP is something that most game masters don't allow on their table anyways. I know I don't allow it, so I don't fucking care. And other people were like, oh, but this has like a really bad, it doesn't have combat. And I'm like, yes it does. It has a whole page. And like, to be honest, most of that page is bullshit. Because it tells you, combat should be run until it's not fun anymore. What do you mean, not fun anymore? I don't stop combat until I don't stop combat when it stops being fun. If I have to stop combat because it stopped being fun, I'm not doing a good job as a game master. I stop combat when the players reach their goal or when the monster's HP runs out. And if players were having a lot of fun when the monster's HP ran out, guess what? It's still gonna be very memorable because they were at the height of their excitement. Not when, okay, I guess players are bored, combat ended. So like, to me, like if you're a published author, don't do that. Don't tell people, don't tell game masters, oh, run combat until it's not fun anymore, or until it makes sense with the fiction. That's another thing. If it makes sense in the fiction, then the combat is over. I like more objectivity when I'm playing a game, not when it feels right, because that just leaves a lot of space open. But with that said, at the end, because again, combat is just one page, but at the end of the combat page, it says, or you can use a takedown dice. So basically, a takedown dice is a game master picks a dice, like for example a D10, and you put it at 9. And whenever a player succeeds, it takes down to 8, and then 7, 6, up until 0. And when it takes down from 1 to 0, the event is over, or what they were trying to prevent happens. For example, I think that's a perfect way to run combat. Okay, we're starting combat, right? We're starting combat, and I have the takedown dice. And the game master says, I have a takedown dice. I'm not going to tell you guys how many successes you need to finish combat. But every time you succeed, I'll take down. If you critically succeed, I'll take down twice. And done. And done. You don't have to overcomplicate yourself with these things. I think the combat chapter should have just been that. I don't know why people are overcomplicating themselves with something that is so simple. And again, like, a lot of these games can just be ad hoc very easily, but I would rather have something concrete in my games. I think this game gets way more hate than it deserves. I think it's perfectly serviceable. It's no fucking Arkham horror. This is fucking bullshit. This is fine. This honestly is perfectly fine. It doesn't deserve that hate. I have a game master that wants to run a one shot of this, and I'm actually pretty excited for that. So hopefully that will be cool and fun. But yeah, that's it. That's the 14 books that I bought last year. That's over $800 because I am very irresponsible. As you should be as well, because we're both TTRPGers, and TTRPGers like nothing else but to collect books that they're never gonna use. Thankfully, I am a game designer, and I do read those books to learn about game design, what works, what doesn't, and give my 2 cents on it and see what I can do to, whenever I'm game mastering a game, I can take from another system and add it to what I'm doing to just like keep shit flowing, keep shit moving, and making sure people have fun. Now, thank you for watching. I'm actually looking forward to a couple of games next year. I think one of them is Draw Steel. I think Draw Steel does a couple of really cool things. There was another one that's based on Breath of the Wild, but I forget which one it is. It's not the one that's Miyazaki style. No, that's not that one. The one that has like a lot of white people designing Japanese things. Not that one. No, it was another one that I saw that it took straight from Legend of Zelda and Breath of the Wild. It looked interesting, so I might look into that. So there's also Draw Steel that I already mentioned. There's another one that I forget the name, but it's another OSR. But what's cool about that one is that you can actually create spells on the fly, and that looked really fucking cool as well. Then for next year, I'm getting way ahead of myself, but for next year is Shift. But I actually pledged for that one, so I'm gonna get a physical copy of that game. And I'm very excited for that game because it's very narrative, but it's very loose as well with the things that you can do. I might end up getting the Aliens TTRPG that I've heard it's really fun, and I've heard from other people that is the best horror TTRPG they ever played. And I think those are big words, and I want to try it for myself. So, maybe we'll have a review of that next year, if you ask kindly. I mean, if one person asks for it, not my wife, because my wife sees all these videos, so she doesn't count. I love you, honey. But if someone else asks for an Alien review, I'll do it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hearing me ramble. This video has gone off long enough. I actually had to record this video twice because I forgot to charge my my microphone, and if the microphone is damaged, which I checked and it wasn't, but if it went off power again, I will not do this video again, and I might do it because this has been long, very long. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios. Oh, shit, yeah. And remember rule number 1. Always have fun.